Coming up on Mountain News this morning, officials are being extra vigilant rounding up stray dogs after a recent attack. Plus, early voting is underway in the Commonwealth with today and tomorrow to get out to the stations.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We're coming up on 6:30 this Friday morning. It might be a little foggy out there, so let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast.
A good Friday to you, Madison, and good morning, everyone. It's a little foggy in places this morning, not as widespread or as dense. Try that one more time. As dense, widespread-wise across eastern and southern Kentucky this morning. That's what happens when I start doing something else. The mind goes somewhere else. Oh, yeah, I haven't had much coffee in the last half hour. That's all right. We'll get going. 59 outside our door here at WYMT. Visibility, no wonder it's a slow go, right? Less than a mile now at Harlan. Visibility was 4 miles at Moorhead. That has dropped back to 2.5 your way. Same deal at Pikeville. All right, temperature-wise, it's feeling nice outside. It's going to feel a little damp, a little humid today, tonight, into tomorrow. Basically, we're in the mid and upper 50s and lower 60s. Somerset and Monticello, 63 and 64, respectively. The moisture slowly tracking toward us. It's wet as you make away from London, westbound on Hal Rogers, northbound into Lexington through Richmond, and more moisture is tracking our way. It's not a washout today, but definitely a wet theme. We'll look for breaks of sunshine. Jackson hazard points east. Showers, scattered thunder showers, and the opportunity for some of this rainfall to be heavy at times today, a high of 75. More about your weekend forecasts in a few moments. Madison.
All right, Tim, thank you. Lexington continues to mourn the loss of a Henry Clay High School student. Emmanuel McCauty died last Friday after experiencing a medical crisis in a classroom. According to his family's attorney, he died from a traumatic brain injury they say he received while trying to break up a fight at school. McCauty's family said he had no prior health issues leading up to the incident. McCauty was 17 years old and was set to graduate this month. With that incident that happened at Henry Clay High School, student safety in schools is on the minds of many. When it comes to student safety, Jason Rothermund has some suggestions. As a retired Special Operations Police Sergeant, he says if a student finds themselves near a fight, think of an exit strategy to get help.
You may not be able to stop the conflict. You may not be able to interject into the conflict. You might have to. But if not, we need to be thinking about how can I put some distance between me and this event in case something escalates.
When it comes to students recording altercations on their phones, Rothermund says that can hinder a student's ability to react and put their own safety at risk. Whitley County officials say crews are continuing to search for wild dogs every day after a 2-year-old was attacked by a pack of them in Rockholt's community on Monday. This morning, that child's father shares their story of a cross-country road trip gone wrong. Jeremy Toms sat down with him.
James Parashow and his family were on a cross-country road trip, leaving from their home in Arizona to meet up with family in Michigan. That brought them through the Commonwealth earlier this week.
We were planning on going to the Cumberland Falls later Monday to show my kids Cumberland Falls.
Parashow decided to stop by his old Kentucky home near Corbin, where he lived for nearly a decade. That's when their travels took a horrific turn.
And I honestly, when I first saw my son, I thought he was dead. I'd never been so grief-stricken in my life.
Parashow had just gone in the home when he heard barking and screaming coming from outside.
And my son's laying on the ground, and there's a dog ripping into his legs, and all these dogs all around him.
Parashow covered his son to protect him, then firing a revolver to send the dogs scattering. His son turns 3 on Friday, but he's still in bad shape.
He can't sit up, he can't walk or stand or any of that.
Parashow worries how this incident will affect his child as he grows up.
The scars are going to, hopefully, those will heal. But my fear is that he's gonna be afraid of dogs.
So he shared his words of warning as they try to put this nightmare behind them.
None of these were pit bulls. None of these were any kind of bully breed. Never trust a dog you don't know. And And it's not always the dogs that you think it's going to be aggressive that are going to be aggressive.
Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
4 dogs were rounded up near the scene Monday and euthanized, but Parasho believes there could have been as many as 15. Once the family's trip is finished, they say they will likely have to send their son home on a medical flight that costs $37,000. If you would like to support the Parasho family, you can learn more on our website, WYMT.com, or the WYMT News app. Coal miner Virgil Painter was killed on the job yesterday in West Virginia while operating an excavator. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice said Painter died at the CM Energy Operations LP surface mine in Wyoming County. Justice released a statement about the incident saying, quote, "We really can't appreciate our miners enough for their work, which powers and creates steel for our homes, state, and nation. This is a tragedy beyond belief, and Kathy and I will keep this man and his loved ones in our prayers. We ask that you join us," end quote. Justice says this is the first coal mining death in West Virginia in 2024, but it is the second coal miner death nationally this year. A Louisville man charged with murder made an appearance in court Thursday morning. Kenneth Muse is accused of stabbing and killing a woman in a retirement home. Police say he was staying with the victim at the time of the murder. According to investigators, Muse's name was on the sign-in sheet at the retirement home, and he was listed as a guest of the victim. An arrest report says Muse called 911 and told operators he did it. The woman's name has not been released. Muse was also accused in another murder nearly 50 years ago. It turns out Muse already spent most of his life in prison for a murder conviction from back in 1975. He was only paroled in 2019, but before that, Muse was serving time for the death of a man named Austin Saunder in Fleming County. According to court records obtained by our sister station, Muse was seeing Saunder's daughter at the time. Muse shot Saunder, who initially survived but died a couple of weeks later. A Hardin County woman is in jail after she gave police in Clay County false information about who she was. The incident happened on Wednesday when police were dispatched to a gas station in Manchester after receiving a call about the woman being upset. Deputies with the Clay County Sheriff's Office say they gave Jordan Starr Ford instructions to which she did not abide by. Police say Ford was slurring her speech and gave them false information about her identity. A Breathitt County man is dead after a crash in Lee County. Troopers with the Kentucky State Police post in Richmond were contacted about the one-vehicle crash just before 11:30 Wednesday night. 45-year-old Teresa Barrett of LaGrange was driving on Kentucky 11 when she struck 59-year-old Thomas E. Colwell of Jackson, who was on the roadway. Colwell was pronounced dead at the scene by the Lee County coroner. Barrett was not injured in the crash. Yesterday, we learned some information regarding a teen involved in a single car crash in the Elkhorn City community of Pike County. Kentucky State Police confirmed that a 17-year-old died. KSP officials say they received a call just after 8:30 on Thursday morning. The teen was driving a 2010 Jeep Wrangler. The Wrangler hit an embankment and overturned. The teen was pronounced dead at the scene by the Pike County Coroner's Office. Yesterday was day 1 of 3 for early voting in the Commonwealth, giving folks the chance to cast their ballot. Whitley County Clerk Carolyn Willis says early voting provides folks with a sense of security surrounding their vote, explaining that anything can happen on Election Day, so having the extra 3 days makes voting more accessible.
They love the voting centers versus the precincts because there's no friction, that no matter where they go from those 9 centers, any one of those 9 centers, they can vote there. It works so well in our county with working people, especially our hospital workers.
County clerk's offices around the region began training election officers. This is to ensure they know exactly what to do when Election Day comes around in just a few days. Governor Andy Beshear and First Lady Brittany Beshear were seen in Lexington Thursday morning casting their ballot in the Kentucky primary election. Some of the things that will be on this year's ballot include the U.S. House, State House, special state legislature, and more.
Now, voting is the bedrock of our democracy. It should be easy for everyone to be able to cast their vote to decide who is going to represent them on the local, the state, or the national level. But far too many states have made it harder to vote. Here in Kentucky, we made it easier to vote with 3 early voting days.
Secretary of State Michael Adams also cast his vote yesterday at the Kentucky Expo Center. And with the Kentucky primary election here now, just with early voting, we've been previewing some races on the ballot. This morning, we're looking at the race for the U.S. District 6. 5 Democrats are running for a chance to challenge Republican incumbent Andy Barr in November. The Democratic hopefuls include Randy Cravens, who works in information technology, small business owner Todd Kelly, longtime activist Don Pratt, nonprofit creator Jonathan Richardson, and social worker Shauna Rudd.
A good Friday morning to you. Some visibility issues regarding fog this morning. Not as widespread as we had yesterday morning, but the visibility has dropped to 1.5 miles across a good portion of Rowan County. Hazard southbound into Harlan and then over toward Pikeville. Temperature-wise, pleasant, maybe feeling a touch humid, a touch damp to some of you, especially west of Hazard. 63 at Somerset. It is 60 at Irvin. Here is the moisture coming across I-75. Slowly and surely heading our way. And the travel forecast for this morning shows, mostly cloudy skies. We'll get the breaks of sunshine from Jackson Hazard points east, the shower threat to the west, and we all get into the raindrop action this afternoon. More about the First Alert 7-day forecast. That's coming up right after this.